Norman Pirollo is with me at Atrium Gallery at the City of Ottawa Gallery.
Ben Franklin Place, Center Point Complex.
This
His earlier work.
beautiful.
This is a slightly different technique. I don't actually infuse color into the wood. The wood, this is the natural color of the wood. And then my more recent work, I progressed to infusing color into the work.
So this wood here, it's not the original color.
No. And the original color might have been something like this, but then this is more of a salmon color. This is the actual wood is bird's eye maple, so I'm trying to have the figure. This is just all figure related, so I'm trying for the bird's eyes to pop. So I had experimented with darker colors and very light colors, and so I settled on something in between salmon.
And what type of wood do we have here?
This is bird's eye maple.
Yes.
And this is cherry, and this is like an ebony type wood, just for contrast. But the piece is Constellation, and it's just an image I see in a starry image of the universe.
And then it's interesting that I can see your work anywhere and I would recognize the style. Mm-hmm. You already have the Pirollo style.
This is an interesting piece. It's actually book matched. So to create it, it's one piece of wood and it's split open, and it's called a book match. So both halves are identical, but when it's book matched, it creates a much wider appearance.
Nice.
Sort of appreciated the art world later on in my life. So.
You're also considered by your peers a very knowledgeable artist, an artist who stays abreast his art, who is constantly looking and seeking knowledge.
Right.
This is Dark Canyon.
Yeah, this is just an image I had of a canyon, and it's sort of this particular piece is three-dimensional. So this is not quite my earliest work, but my intermediate work where I actually had pieces raised. So this is raised. And so it's set in. The middle part is set in. This piece is one of my most recent pieces, and it's framed a little differently. So it's a little more interesting framing. And I have it set into a black background with a raised block type frame, and just more of a spring theme. So just what I see is a sort of a wind, bulrush, and sunlight.
This is Dancing Flame 1. Nice texture.
This is the actual figure in the wood. It's just, the actual wood itself is spalted maple. So it's actually a deterioration of the wood, almost. What I see is a moonscape. So. Another piece that I've oriented horizontally. Do you see the tornado in that?
Yes, yes, I actually do.
I wonder, yeah, I guess. This one is a sort of a crowd favorite, I guess, because of the vibrant red. So it draws people in.
It's Cascade. You also had recently an article about your work released in an Italian magazine.
Yes, yes. And I've been contacted by another local Italian publication, Il Postino. They're supposed to do an article on me, maybe the next edition or something. This is much like the other frame, so it's more of a raised frame, and the piece is embedded, so it's more of a dark outline as opposed to the other pieces with the white outline, with the white matting.
This one looks like two pieces together.
It is. Well, it's book matched. Remember I mentioned that?
Yes.
The same process of splitting a piece of wood open, and then so the figure on this side sort of matches this, and it's together it creates.
Good to see you.
It actually doesn't detract from the figure. So. In this case, this is quilted or blistered maple in this case up here. So I try to bring that out as much as I can. Too much staining, it just mask it, hide everything.
It's almost luminous. There are different kinds of wood. What is
Different ways. This is blistered maple, and this is sort of tiger maple. That again is quilted maple. And the one at the far end is spalted maple.
I haven't heard of these. Are they actually different types of trees?
No, it's just what it is this is almost, I wouldn't say disease, but it's sort of a maple tree that's fallen and it's sitting in a damp area in the forest for a long period of time. And this is actually an insect that sort of eats away at the wood, and it creates the beautiful outlines. I was mentioning to Liana, this wood is usually put aside to a wood retailer because nobody knows what to do with it. You can't use it for flooring because it just stands out too much. But as art, it's beautiful as art. So.
And where do you get your wood?
Southwestern Ontario is part of the retailers that specialize in figured woods. These are all figured woods. This is sort of, Liana, more of a diptych with two pieces combined in the same theme.
Thank you very much.
Sure. This is Hollow Tree. This is my intermediate series, not the early work, but not my most recent work. But it's a little different. I don't actually infuse color into the wood in this particular piece, but I join woods to create an image. And it's also raised, so it's almost, I call it, at the time I was calling it more of a 3D effect. So I call this Hollow Tree, and what I see is a tree with just a hollow running through it.
You know what's interesting about your sculptures? That when we come and if we don't see the title, we probably would come up with our own.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you give us your own title, we do see
Okay, good,
what you like
Oh,
a tornado or
people are
hollow.
welcome to come up with their own images. I make sure to explain that to people. It's just what I see. Because it's not representational, representative of anything. It's more of an abstract.
Norman, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you to your next exhibition. When do you think that will be?
I'm not sure at this point.
Winter
This was a
or-
large one for me.
Yes.
A lot of preparation, and
Yes.
so maybe later this summer, later 2013, sometime in the fall, possibly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Norman Pirollo, the wood artist, is with us today and in his studio. Norman, what are you working on right now?
At the moment, I'm in the process of designing two contemporary hall tables. This is so what I do is I also design furniture as part of my wood artistry. These hall tables are my design, and what I was striving for is simplification, a minimalism in the design. For example, instead of having four legs, which is fairly standard with this form of table, I've reduced it to two legs and built a structure so it's fairly stable and strong with two legs. And I've also incorporated metal with wood, which is, I wouldn't say trendy, but it's popular today, stylish today to incorporate metal and wood. Although I can substitute the metal, tubular stainless steel with wood at any point. So I had a lot of fun doing this. These designs are, one is curvilinear and one is more angular. The other, and the woods are different. So this particular table is completely cherry and metal, whereas this one is mahogany and metal, and it's more of an angular design.
So you usually work with cherry and mahogany?
Not necessarily. I work with all woods.
All
But I
woods.
just, one of my favorite woods is cherry. It's a domestic wood, and it develops a nice color with age, a nice patina with age, so it actually darkens. So only a short 3 weeks ago, this actual wood was very, very light, but with exposure to light and air, it actually becomes, it darkens. Whereas this is a little different. Mahogany just maintains its original color, and it's also popular. So because it's dark, it's just, people's tastes are different. So this might suit somebody with a dark furniture interior in the home.
Is there a demand for this type of
Well, I'm
tables?
trying to, good question, because I'm trying to create demand. The type of tables are, there is a demand for the type of tables, but this particular design is my design, and I'm trying to, of course, create a demand for it, to create some buzz around the design, as it's modern and, as I was saying earlier, two legs as opposed to four, and it's simple. And I can always, and these are also designed to be easily transportable, so I can actually disassemble it and flat pack it. And that's another reason, another criteria in my design.
Mhm. And I see that you're working on several pieces here.
That is the top of the table. My wire shape, this one.
Yes.
This is the top of the table, a small table. This is cherry and it's
Cherry.
ovoid shape, so this was designed to be, I've already created this type of table, I just have this as a template. So what I like to do is when I create furniture, I always keep parts of the furniture around, so rather than keep notes, I have a component of the furniture so I know exactly what size, what dimensions I used for the original piece. So this is, that's what this piece is for. That's another one of my designs. Instead of having, for example, a rectangular table or a triangular table, I incorporated curves and the angular component. So it's considered an ovoid shape.
You're also working on this piece right now.
Yes, this piece is destined for a local juried art exhibition, and I'm just in the process of completing it for the weekend, for this coming weekend. And well, the wood is big leaf maple. It's fairly, has quite an interesting pattern. It's curly. It's called curly pattern.
You're well known for these patterns.
Yes, I try to incorporate this as much as possible because it draws attention. It becomes a focal point of the piece, and otherwise it's just bland. And this particular wood I've become enamored with recently, big leaf maple, because it's very nice to work with. It's not too hard. It's imported from British Columbia, and it has that curl, a natural curl for the most part. And the base is Indian rosewood, which is not endangered or in any way. It's cultivated wood, just in case somebody, because I usually get asked that if the wood is-
Norman, you have an exhibition going on in Manotick these days?
Not in Manotick, no. And I have an upcoming exhibition at the City of Ottawa Atrium Gallery. It's part of the Center Point complex. And that would be in late March to late April. It's a solo exhibition of all my work, exclusively my work, and mostly my wall art, which you can see on that wall. It's just some of the pieces, those pieces.
These are part of that
These will
exhibition.
be part of the exhibition as well as other pieces. I'll have a total of 25 or 30 pieces in the exhibition, and it runs for 4 or 5 weeks. From March 22nd through April 22nd at the Atrium Gallery. At this time, I'm part of a group exhibition also in the Center Point area. It's at the James Bartleman Gallery 112 for City of Ottawa. It's a sculptors group I belong to, and they've pre-selected 26 sculptors in the group, and we each contribute one piece. So that particular exhibition has just begun this week, and we have an exhibition opening next Friday, on January 25th, for that exhibition. So these pieces all incorporate that same curl, in some cases curl or quilt that I mentioned earlier. So, for example, this is highly figured maple. What I do is I look at the graphics or the grain on the wood, and I infuse color into the portions of the wood to enhance that particular segment of grain.
So how are the chemicals reacting with the wood?
Well, it's essentially an aniline dye. It's a water-based dye, and it's absorbed into the wood. So, for example, this is completely absorbed. Now, it doesn't necessarily end like this. I begin with one color, and I remove part of the color, and I add a different color, and I play with colors, and I enhance certain areas of the wood until I'm happy with it. So it doesn't always, it's not just a matter of slapping color on or anything. It just doesn't work that way. So in some cases, I've actually removed the color completely from the wood and started over. So this is an interesting wood here. This is flame birch. It's a domestic wood, and it has a sort of a wild grain. So I played with the grain, and I created this center part here. Sort of something in the solar system. I'm not sure what to call this yet, but it's a brand new piece.
Amazing.
And the finish, one of the strong points of these pieces is the finish. I use, it's called a French polish finish. So what that consists of is shellac, which is a naturally derived finish, and I apply multiple thin layers of shellac in the French polish method. It's a traditional 18th century method. It takes quite a long time to develop a shine and the smoothness of this. You can feel it yourself. It's fairly,
It's very smooth.
very, very smooth. It's very difficult to attain that. Its smoothness. It takes time.
And you have more pieces here for the same exhibition.
Yes. These are already been framed. So these are smaller pieces. And I don't remember the names right now, but or I haven't come up with new names. But these are pieces, smaller pieces, just to.
Interesting patterns you have in this one. Is it what you intend, or is this what it comes out?
This, if you notice with the pattern, it's the actual pattern of the wood. So I work with the wood. I don't fight. I don't fight with the wood. I work with the wood. So I enhance portions of the wood with different colors. And then I see I look at the end result, and then I try to determine what it appears to me.
Beautiful.
Another interesting one here.
So what type of wood is this one?
This is a highly figured maple. For the most part, it's always highly figured maple. And I could easily substitute these colors for blues and greens, but I sort of been attached to these colors. This is an interesting one here. This is, I call it Vortex. There's a dividing line in the graphics, and I use that as part of the style, and I change the color on this side, for example, and then I view it, and I see something, and then I determine what I should call it from there.
Beautiful pieces.
Well,
Norman,
you have to be attached to wood to appreciate.
appreciate.
Well, not just to appreciate, to want something like this. Not everybody. It doesn't appeal to everybody, for example.
We're moving to your other room where you work. And how can the viewers find you?
Through my website, www.normanpirollo.com.
Pirollo.
.com, yes.
Thank you so much, Norman.
Point, no, not quite yet. My dream is to be able to exhibit some work in Europe, but at the moment only North America.
And Norman, let's go to the beginnings of the wood artist. How did you start? Is it your Italian background or?
Well, I'm not sure. I've actually gone back and analyzed I did some introspection on myself and tried to understand a little bit more about myself. And part of the journey was, of course, my upbringing, and my father had a strong influence in my creativity. I spent much time with my father when I was young. He was a former businessman, insurance person, real estate, everything, but he just towards the middle of his career, he decided to abandon all that and concentrate on creating tools and working at home and that sort of thing in a small workshop. And I was his assistant for many years. And we worked very well together, and I've learned a lot in the process. So, but that was not my priority in life. I, of course, went on to develop my own career, which was in the computer industry, which was quite advancing considerably at that time, a few decades ago. So I pursued computer studies at college level, university level, private school level, and I've worked in the industry for numerous years. And I was incredibly excited about IT and computers. I lived and breathed the subject. But towards the middle of my life, my career, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I started to realize something was missing. And working with computers and hardware and software, you actually create nothing tangible except for software coding, which is it's in vogue today, for example, but it's obsolete in a year, only to be replaced by either a different code or a completely different programming language. So this, after going through a few cycles of this, I started to realize that this, I'll never be ahead in this game. I'll always be behind, and it's always catching up. It's always studying day, night, even when I'm not working in the field. I found myself studying just to keep up, and I looked for something to satisfy me more. So I began to take evening and weekend woodworking courses at a local college here in Ottawa, and then I became enamored with that. So I found myself looking forward to the weekend and the evening course, and working on small projects and learning all about joinery, and I became excited about it. And at this stage, I knew very little about woodworking except from what I studied and what I had learned from my father when I worked with him. And I progressed from there. I continued my career, but my dream was to slowly step away from the career and make furniture, do something in woodworking, and that's what I've ultimately done. But it's been a gradual process, and it's taken me numerous years to actually wean myself away from the computer industry, even though I still today develop websites and do that sort of thing.
You told me that you're well known for your joinery. And I'm actually holding a piece of joinery. Now, what is special about this piece that I'm looking at right now?
This particular piece is something. It's just a sample of dovetail. It's a half-blind dovetail joint. That's what it's called. And what it is it's an enclosed joint. It's completely housed and it's completely created by hand, which surprises a lot of people in this modern day, with all the machinery we have around, that somebody would actually do this in this day and age. But it's almost the only way to actually create this specific type of joint is by hand with the angular corners. So you can do this with machinery, but it doesn't quite look the same. And this is a traditional joint developed in the 1700s, used mostly in drawer construction. So, for example, this would be a drawer front, and that's why I've selected two different woods. This would be a drawer front. This is cherry, and this is aspen, and these are a drawer side. So this is it's considered an interlocking joint. So without even glue, it actually holds itself well. I might have glued this one. I don't remember. I have many samples here, and so I actually give workshops and teach how to create this particular type of joinery. And this is my claim to fame. I did not invent the joint whatsoever, but it's been in existence for 300 years. And it's quite a learning curve to be able to reach to a level where you can actually create such a joint very tight without any gaps or anything. But it's an interesting joint, and it's revered today in furniture construction. So people will look at this and they look for dovetail joinery in furniture construction as a sign of quality craftsmanship. So,
with wood, you are kind of going back to nature, and your personality. You're a very meditative person. You live in the country. You're kind of a reclusive sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
Am I close?
Very reclusive, and not by choice, but
you don't talk much.
Not by choice, but just by coincidence, so much that I just happened to be out here, and I found only later in my life that I began to realize that I work better in solitude. I become more creative, and I can actually think of. I need to be at peace with myself. I need to be in this type of environment with quietness, and then all the ideas come to me, the inspiration, and I look out. I see trees, I see nature, I see birds, and they sort of. It's a peaceful environment for me to bring the creativity out, and it's been working really well. So I mean, even if we had to move from this area, I would look for something similar.
How do you select your wood? Do you actually go in nature and pick it?
Some of it, but most of it is purchased through lumber or wood retailers. But I'll actually go to the retailer and select the wood, personally select, and I can be there for maybe an hour or two sometimes, just select the right pieces or the right piece, because and what I do is I don't just purchase wood and use it. I actually look at the grain patterns in the wood, the graphics, and I can actually see how this piece of wood will appear in either furniture or sculpture or wall art.
What do you like about wood compared to stone or other media?
Yeah, I currently I'm in a small network of sculptors, and there's a few stone sculptors and glass sculptors, and wood is my medium, but I'm not averse to other mediums. I'm intrigued by stone, but I've spent 20 years developing the skills to work with wood, so at this point it's very difficult for me to transition. But I do incorporate alternative medium with my wood, for example, glass and metal. So I do that, but I don't. But wood is nice to work with. It can get dusty sometimes, but I try to eliminate the dust component by using hand tools, as I was mentioning earlier. And stone is actually worse. Stone is very abrasive, so from talking to the other sculptors, I prefer wood for that reason.
Besides doing art, you are also you're well known for your cabinets.
Yes.
And you were talking about the philosophy behind the cabinets, and you were mentioning a great cabinet maker. Would you like to talk about
Yes,
that?
the person I was referring to was James Krenoff. He's quite renowned in the circles of mid-century furniture, and quite revered in small circles of pockets of furniture makers and woodworkers. He immigrated to North America in the middle of the last century, and slowly began to make furniture, and eventually developed or created a woodworking school. It's based in California. It's the College of the Redwoods, and there is a derivative of that school in Canada now, or at least two of them. And I actually attended one of them. I didn't attend complete curriculums, but I attended several courses, and became more intimate with his style or philosophy of woodworking. And he has published four books on his philosophy and style, and I've read them all many times, and I can almost live and breathe his work. And so my work is derived from his style, my cabinets, exclusively. What I like about his style is it's very straightforward and simple. It's a Scandinavian inspired designs, and they lack embellishment. They're not ornate. They're just they stress they feature the wood itself, the graphics of the wood, instead of embellishing it with other elements, for example. So he uses what wood he has and works with that, and I've also embraced that style. I usually work with the wood and develop a piece of furniture from the wood itself, as opposed to just designing something and then sourcing the wood afterwards.
These are the books that you read? This one?
A few of them. So this, and I was talking earlier about James Krenoff. Here's one of his 3 or 4 books that he's published and written on his style, and this is James Krenoff himself in his latter years. And you can see he's working exclusively. He also creates his own hand planes, and here's a style of work. And his philosophy, which is interesting, it isn't just simply about making furniture. It's how to the philosophy behind the furniture, and his work is incredible. I've seen some of it in person. So,
Where is his work?
all across North America, but I know of one person in this city that actually has one of his pieces. So I've gone to see it, and I was fairly impressed. This is a School of Design, Bauhaus. Have you heard of Bauhaus?
Yes.
This is the Bauhaus School of Design. This is the whole story of it. So
This is a German school.
a German School of Design from post-World War I to right around the Nazis came into power, and they disassembled it, and they undid it and they destroyed it. But this is one of the premier design schools in Europe at that time. So they had some very innovative designs, and the school of design was not just simply furniture; it was everything. They had graphics, clay, pottery, glass, metal. So they sometimes mixed medias between. And it was just amazing. Some of these pieces, you can actually look at them today, and you'll actually see derivatives of these designs from 100 years ago and today, or 90 years ago in today's furniture or objects. So this is the whole story. It's fascinating reading. And it's unfortunate, but they did it quite a bit in those few years that they were around. So this is. I also follow designers. I love to find out what makes other designers tick and what inspires them. So this is a good book on some of the top designers in the world today, and what they've designed, what their philosophy is, and some of the questions that they're asked. What elements of design, the big break, what significant influences they've had in their work. So this is a quite interesting book. And then I've also studied decorative arts, the history of decorative arts, which this is a reference manual, and I'm continually leafing through it. And this is a mid-century furniture, as I was talking about earlier. Amazing furniture period of innovation. For example, that's when this is derived from World War II aircraft design. The fact that they could laminate curve plywood, so they incorporated that in furniture. And if you look at this piece, this dates from 1949. And it's very contemporary, still very contemporary. And this is amazing.
What do you think about the IKEA style?
IKEA is very much European, Swedish style of furniture, but they've reduced it down to, it's called knockdown furniture, so it's quickly disassembled and reassembled with bolts and screws, so there isn't much joinery, so it doesn't really interest me, but the actual designs interest me. When I view the designs from a distance, I like what I see, and it's simple. And
what about the mobilia? You know the store Mobilia?
Mobilia also,
it's an Italian store.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they bring their furniture from Europe, different parts of Europe. It's interesting because you see different styles of furniture we don't usually typically see here, for example, at larger chain stores of furniture.
Great, thank you. Let's talk about the type of wood that you work with. I know you work cherry, and you seem to like cherry very much, maybe the most. Cherry, yes, because it's nice to work with. It's a hardwood. It's considered a hardwood, but it's not a very hardwood. Unlike a tropical wood, it's a domestic hardwood, and it's nice to work with, and it develops a beautiful color after a short period of time exposed to light and ambient light and air. So it's very nice that way. So you almost don't have to stain it or do anything with it, and it's such a beautiful wood. Also maple. Maple. I use maple a lot, but not regular maple. I use figured maples. For example, this piece is a big leaf maple. It's figured, but it has when I say figured, I mean I'm referring to the curl or the pattern, the graphics of the wood. And this piece isn't quite complete yet, but it's intended for a local exhibition in the next few months, in the next few weeks actually. So I'm working on it now as we speak. What about birch? Some birch I use. I have a piece of flame birch. I tend to use flame birch again because it's highly figured and it's the only form of birch that has pronounced figure. So aside from that, I don't use birch much. You're also making your tools. The tools, they are made of what kind of wood? Well, because tools need to be made from very hard wood, so I've made a series of hand planes at some point, and these are European beech. This is European beech, and it's a very straight-grained wood. It's a beautiful wood, so it doesn't have much in the way of a pattern, and that's very well suited to tool making. Where on the base of the tool is Goncavo Alves.
it's a tropical wood, but it's almost self-lubricating, so it works well when it's gliding along a piece of wood. This is a hand plane I've designed. It's my own design. And I used to produce a few of these years ago, but I've since moved on to sculpture and wood art and cabinets and that sort of thing. So this is and all the components with the wear components are tropical wood. So you can see the back here. This is something I have to tap to adjust the iron in the wood, the blade. So
The tropical wood, is it harder?
yes, as tropical woods are typically harder. Most tropical woods, you can have something like balsa that isn't hard at all. It's featherweight wood and it's not hard at all. But these are very hard woods, very dense woods.
Do you work also with the type of, let's say, soft wood?
No, I typically only use hardwoods, softwoods. I'll use softwoods when I'm building jigs, for example, something used to create furniture. It's just something, a temporary tool, something I need temporarily, but I don't. Some of this, like for example, this rolling stand these are softwoods. I've assembled this using softwoods. They're fairly inexpensive, and it doesn't need as much strength. They're fairly strong. So this is a trim, this hardwood cherry.
Let's talk about your cabinets. You are you're creating them in the tradition of your teacher, but also you added your personal touch, and actually you created the Norman Pirollo cabinets. What is the philosophy behind your cabinets?
Well, it's very much in the tradition of the Scandinavian mid-century tradition. They're very simple, straightforward, and
Pragmatic, very pragmatic.
they're designed to feature the wood as opposed to a lot of complexity and it's not a busy look. It's a very straightforward, simple look, and these are scanned, so it doesn't appeal to everybody, that look, but it appeals to me, and just so turns out that mid-century furniture is wildly popular now, so it works well for me in that regard.
Do they have more of a rustic look?
Not at all.
No, very contemporary.
Yes, extremely contemporary. I don't do anything rustic at all, except for maybe a deck or something.
May I ask why? Because I love rustic.
It's just not my style. You'll find that furniture makers, they all adopt a style for some reason. I guess I've adopted mine as contemporary mid-century, but I could change.
You're also perceived a bit of an avant-garde sculptor. What would you say about that?
Well, I try everything. In all my work, I try to be different. I try to be unique, and I try to create a niche for myself in my own work. And so I don't really, I don't look at other makers or what they do anymore in sculpture, for example. These are all my designs, and it's important to me that it be my design and it's not something I've copied for somebody else, for example. So this, always using the same medium of wood, I'm developing my own style. And I just had somebody recently, I showed them one of my pieces, and he said, "Oh, isn't that the same piece as you had the other time?" And I said, and he said, "It looks like you're developing a style," and that's essentially what it is. I'm developing a style, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'll have that style for the rest of my life. But I sort of adopt a style and exhaust. I like to exhaust all the possibilities I have within that style, and then move on to possibly move on to a new style or something. But I'm not satisfied, so I'm having fun with a certain style, and these are very organic sculptures. They have curves and some rectilinear elements and a lot of curved elements, and I'm trying to work with the wood. If you saw this wood, is maybe literally 8 days ago, it was just a hunk. It would look like a hunk of firewood. To convert something from a hunk of firewood to this is still mind-boggling for me. Even having worked with wood for 20 years, I'm still amazed that there's so much you can do with people. Just they burn wood. We have a wood burning fireplace ourselves, but it's difficult for me sometimes to throw logs in there, and I've actually thrown them in, pulled them back out, because there's such beautiful I can see a pattern in there. I can see some character in the wood, so I'm trying to save it or something. But so I had this piece of this particular piece of wood sitting here to acclimatize itself, to sort of air dry itself for quite a few months, and then but it just literally somebody might mistake it for firewood that's not familiar with sculpture, and then it's going to be a bit.
You were mentioning earlier that as a computer specialist, you constantly had to read and keep up or catch up. At the same time, I see that you have a lot of books and you do kind of the same thing in this area. Did your studying and all that learning in computer science help you in this area?
It helps me in the sense I'm very good at research. I guess my whole claim to fame in the computer industry was researching, and it's always researching and developing. So these are books that just a few of my collection of books, and these are books I mainly use for reference, and I like to read and reread on the subject of design and how furniture design or sculpture design or decorative arts have evolved over the past decades. Even from the 1700s. And these specific books are mostly for furniture design or decorative arts, but I have another collection of art history books that I like to look at the different periods of art history, because art history periods tend to follow furniture design. It works the same way. One period of design is popular for maybe a decade or two, or sometimes three, and then it's repudiated or renounced, and then another style of furniture or art replaces it. It's interesting how that happens, and we see that today with fashion, and we don't even notice it sometimes, but sometimes, you'll bring out some clothes you were wearing 10 or 15 years ago, and nobody wears it anymore, but that's essentially what's happened. So this also happens in the furniture world and in the art world. So the different periods of furniture and art they're fascinating to me. Sometimes they do a complete 180 shift from complex ornate furniture to very simple furniture. And there's a few periods in history of art and furniture design that are like that, some very much like that. And so people, they just get tired of a look. And so for a furniture maker, for somebody in the art world, you need to adapt, because what you have popular today, what you're creating, is not popular. So a lot of the famous artists and furniture designers and sculptors have adapted, and you'll notice that leading artists and furniture designers have come up with different styles throughout their career, embrace different styles, which is interesting.
Your furniture is very modern and very contemporary. At the same time, I find it very utilitarian. You can actually use it in everyday life. Do you also do some carving?
Carving in a sense, I carve some of the sculptural work I do, and some of the tool making. But aside from that, I carve handles, for example, small handles on my cabinets. But I don't do. I'm not a carver, and no, I don't do full-scale carving. There are people that actually carve for a living, carve wood, and I don't do that. I do it on a much smaller scale. If I need a very small piece of a handle for a piece of furniture, I'll carve it. But aside from that, I don't carve, no.
Do you ever receive comments from environmentalists about working with wood and things like that?
The largest comment I hear is from people that are concerned about exotic woods and where they're sourced from, because there's mass destruction of tropical forests in Central America and South America and that part of the world, and they're concerned that I'm acquiring my wood from these. But my wood is from sustained harvesting of wood forests, and most of the wood that's actually imported into Canada and North America now is from reputable sources. That
is it fair trade or just
well, just it's harvested and it's harvested wood. So
what country is Brazil or?
Depends on the wood. Some woods come from Africa too, but most of the wood, it's almost illegal to import wood that isn't harvested a certain way. So it has to be sustainable. So that's for every tree they cut down, they have to replace, and it's not a large-scale destruction of forests like they used to do, and you don't see that anymore. And one of the reasons is if those forests are gone, they've all been destroyed. So they've been replaced by the second growth wood. So it's interesting. But that's the comment I hear and the concern I hear. But I'm also as concerned as they are about it. So, and in any case, the amount of wood I use is minuscule. You know, I'm not a large-scale manufacturer. We can count the number of trees I use in my lifetime.
Let's talk about your projects. You have an upcoming exhibition
Yes.
in Ottawa. How many pieces will you have on display?
I'll have between 20 to 30 pieces. It's a solo exhibition at the Atrium Gallery, and it's been in the works for about a year and a half. I was actually supposed to have it last year, but some technical problems and scheduling problems, they postponed it to this March and April. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm actually creating some more work for that because it's all my work. And the title of the exhibition is interesting. The title of the exhibition is Go Figure, with an exclamation mark. So it's all about the figure of wood, the graphics, and so it's featuring figure.
You
wood
are
and wood.
also a finalist in the...
Niche Awards.
Yes. Can
I
you?
was-
Yeah.
I was surprised to find that out recently.
It's an American...
It's an American group that the juries work throughout North America, U.S. and Canada, mostly North America, and in different categories. And my work was juried. I submitted 3 of my pieces, and one of them was determined to be a finalist. One of 5 finalists, and they determined the winner in that category in mid-February in Philadelphia at a large convention, a large conference, a large show exhibition. So I plan on going down for that to receive the finalist award and hopefully be a winner. But I'm happy just being a finalist. It's my first time I've applied.
Financially wise, is it hard to be a sculptor, a wood sculptor?
Yes. Furniture maker, sculptor, the whole thing. It's very difficult. It's almost a labor of love. It's you have to have a passion for this, because I get asked that very often. They say, "Are you making any money in it?" And I don't really like that question, because if I had to make money, I'd probably have remained in my computer field, and done what I really didn't want to do anymore for sake of money. So I've opted out, and there isn't much money. It's just surviving. And if I can pay for my tools and some expenses, I'm happy at this point in my life, because I just do what makes me happy now. And I was not happy in the computer field anymore. And after maybe 25, 30 years, I just gave up. I didn't want to start over again. I was downsized to my last position eliminated, so I just moved on. And rather than start over, I decided to start over and do something of my own. Well, you'll find most furniture makers and sculptors are struggling. People in the art world are always struggling. It's always a struggle.
Who supports you the most? I assume your wife is one of your biggest supporters.
Financially, or?
No, financially, like morally,
Yes, my wife. My wife's a little bit of an artist herself. She designs jewelry and does that sort of thing. She has a little studio not far from here, in the same downstairs. And so she understands that, and we help each other, we assist each other in that way. So if I'm working on a design, for example, I'll ask my wife what she thinks of it, and to be perfectly honest and candid, if she doesn't like it, and I'm the same way with her. So.
How can the viewers and the listeners find you? Because I'm also posting the videos of this radio interview on YouTube. How can they find you?
They can find me through my website, www.myfirstandlastname.com, Norman Pirollo, Norman, Pirollo.com. And I also provide educational material in the form of tutorials and courseware through another site and it's called Wood Skills, www.woodskills.com, and in there you'll have an assortment of small tutorials and a woodworking course in video format I've actually just completed a few weeks ago.
90 seconds.
It can be purchased in either DVD or downloaded across the internet in modules, and a lot of my beliefs, philosophy, and style of work are embraced in these tutorials. So I have a tutorial specifically on creating dovetail joints, for example, and a jig I developed to be able to create this easily.
Norman, thank you so much for being with us today, and
thank
I
you.
look forward to coming to your exhibition and video recording you there. Thank you so
very
much. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone. You did this cabinet?
Yes, I did this maybe 3 to 4 years ago, and this is I've been following that style of I was referring to earlier, the Scandinavian style, mid-century style. So it's very, very straightforward and simple, and the construction is cherry up above and maple below, with a nice inlay of cherry to bring some of the color down. The handles are cocobolo, and it's very, very straightforward, simple design, but it features the dovetails I referred to earlier. That same construction. They're small drawers. And it's as far as practicality, it's a small cabinet. I would say maybe a decorative cabinet. Show some sculptural work or some decorative art. And we call these pulls, by the way. These are these handles. They're pulls, and they're all matched. You can see the dark and the light are not colored. This is hardwood and that's sapwood, so I took some time to select that and matched it with the front. And another feature I like to use is to only use one pull on the outside. So most people are right-handed, so I have a right-handed pull.
How long would it take a piece of furniture like this to
This
make?
would take me maybe 3 to 4 weeks of work, because it's all handmade and there's a lot of handcrafting involved. Dovetails, I would say about 3 or 4 weeks, but then there's finishing. Finishing takes a considerable amount of time. It's all hand applied, shellac. So,
Amazing. And this
and
one,
what I like about this particular piece is that it's small enough that I can bring around. So when I'm demonstrating the type of work I do, I can this separates from the base, and I just pop in my car.
then assemble
around.
it over
So
there.
this is one of the criteria for this piece.
What about this one here?
This is, I also occasionally make jewelry boxes, and this is one of the
Your
most,
wife is a jewelry maker.
my wife's a jewelry maker, but these I made for sale, and I don't tend to make that anymore, but I keep one around just so I have some measurements. And they're 3-level, which is popular with the drawer. So, and this is all mahogany and cherry. Again, one of my favorite woods. And mahogany is a nice, beautiful wood to work with. So,
Is there a wood that is harder to work with, like a rebellious type of wood?
yeah, well, the highly figured woods, most of my wall art, which I can show you in the other room, are very, very difficult to work with. These woods are very, very difficult to work with. So it's
Oh,
quite
beautiful.
an amount of preparation to even achieve that level of smoothness.
How did you do that one?
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, this is, again, it's a curly maple, highly figured curly maple, and it's dyed. So I infuse color into the wood and I create a pattern. And on this particular piece, I try to find something. And this is another pattern. This is quilted maple. This is curly maple. You can see curl pattern. This is quilted maple, which is even more, or blistered maple. Sorry, blistered maple. And that's also interesting.
Do you choose these colors in advance, or this is what it comes out?
Well, I mix some colors, like I was mentioning earlier. I I sometimes remove the color and I keep adding color until I'm satisfied. So It's not just one color. Sometimes it's a complete range of colors to achieve that look.
What a beautiful color this one is.
Yeah, I call that vortex.
It looks like a
It's a
vortex.
tornado, actually. So,
Yes,
yeah.
it looks like that.
This is the actual piece that was selected for the niche finalists.
Yes.
This is a piece here. So actually, I assembled these little stands for the
And you made the
sculpture work.
stand too?
Yes. I had another show, sort of a solo show, a year and a half ago, and I had to create my own plinths or pedestals for my sculpture work. And this is some earlier work. So I've progressed. This is some earlier work I've created, again in the vein of wall art. And I moved away from this because I was limited. I used to not stain wood or not color wood or not infuse wood with color. And I just ran out of options with the wood because I had to source wood that had certain colors, and it's almost impossible to find wood that's colorful enough, exciting enough with regards to color, and wood that maintains its color. There's a lot of these colors.
You made this cabinet as
Yes,
well.
a lot of the colors in tropical wood actually change. So this was a more red at one point, and it becomes a deeper brown. So I just moved away from that and began to infuse my own color into wood, make it a little more interesting. This was featured in a book actually, on the 500 cabinets, and it's in the foreword of the book. It's again, it's very similar to the other piece, but it's much larger and it's a little different construction. But it's totally European beach, and it's the nice part about it is the book matched front doors. So this is they call it twin plumes. So I purposely designed the doors so you can feature this pattern on the doors and the graphics on each side. So again, it's again the same trademark pose.
Yes.
And a little bit different inside. These are cherry drawers with dovetail construction. It's all my own design, but it's all solid wood throughout. And I use knife hinges, which is not normally seen in furniture construction. So normally you would see a straightforward hinge like you see on a door, but these are knife hinges, so you don't have any hinge on the drawer, on the sides of the door panel. So everything's sort of delicate, it locks and that sort of thing. And that's one of my sculptures.
Yes, this is a beautiful one. When did you do it?
Oh, about 2 years ago or so. 2 years ago, I created this, and I put it above there for contrast.
What about this one here?
Yeah, that's an older cabinet. It's just a CD cabinet I created. This is 15 years ago. I created this 20 years ago. One of my earlier works, and these are the other hinges that you'll see more often than not in furniture. And I've gotten away from that completely. I use knife hinges now. So this is walnut, and
You don't.
no, I don't make the lamps.
And you make this?
No, I
No,
don't
you
make
didn't. Okay. You don't use a lot of walnut. This one has walnut in
Yes,
it. But
I don't use a lot of walnut. You're correct. Good observation. I just haven't embraced walnut at this point because it's a dark wood, and maybe I should, but I don't at this point use walnut much.
do you do frames?
Well, I actually created these frames, but not so much. It's just to show my own work. They're not interesting frames. They're just black frames. That's not what I want to do. I just created my own frames because my work is all unique sizes, and it's very difficult to find frames of specific sizes, and it can get expensive. So I've gone to the trouble of just learning how to make frames and make my own frames.
Norman, thank you so much for
Oh, thank
showing
you.
me.
Thank you
And
for-
I look forward to visiting your exhibition very soon.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Let's talk about your projects. You have an upcoming exhibition
Yes.
in Ottawa. How many pieces will you have on display?
I'll have between 20 to 30 pieces. It's a solo exhibition at the Atrium Gallery And it's been in the works for about a year and a half. It was actually supposed to have it last year, but some technical problems and scheduling problems, they postponed it to this March and April. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm actually creating some more work for that because it's all my work. And the title of the exhibition is interesting. The title of the exhibition is Go Figure, with an exclamation mark. So it's all about the figure of wood, the graphics, and so it's featuring figure.
You
wood
are
and rock.
also a finalist in the
Niche Awards.
yes. Can
I
you?
was-
Yeah,
I was surprised to find that out recently.
it's an American.
It's an American group that the juries work throughout North America, U.S. and Canada, mostly North America, in different categories. And my work was juried. I submitted 3 of my pieces, and one of them was determined to be a finalist. One of 5 finalists, and they determined the winner in that category in mid-February in Philadelphia at a large convention, a large conference, a large show exhibition. So I plan on going down for that to receive the finalist award and hopefully be a winner. But I'm happy just being a finalist. It's my first time I've applied.
Financially wise, is it hard to be a sculptor, a wood sculptor?
Yes, furniture maker, sculptor, the whole thing. It's very difficult. It's almost a labor of love. It's you have to have a passion for this because I get asked that very often. They say, "Are you making any money in it?" And I don't really like that question because if I had to make money, I'd probably have remained in my computer field, and done what I really didn't want to do anymore for sake of money. So I've opted out, and there isn't much money. It's just surviving. And if I can pay for my tools and some expenses, I'm happy at this point in my life because I just do what makes me happy now. And I was not happy in the computer field anymore. And after maybe 25, 30 years, I just gave up. I didn't want to start over again. I was downsized to my last position eliminated, so I just moved on. And rather than start over, I decided to start over and do something of my own. Well, you'll find most furniture makers and sculptors are struggling. People in the art world are always struggling. It's always a struggle.
Who supports you the most? I assume your wife is one of your biggest supporters.
Financially, or
No, financially, like morally.
yes,
You know.
my wife. I'm able to. My wife's a little bit of an artist herself. She designs jewelry and does that sort of thing. She has a little studio not far from here in the same downstairs. And so she understands that, and we help each other, we assist each other that way. So if I'm working on a design, for example, I'll ask my wife what she thinks of it, and to be perfectly honest and candid, if she doesn't like it, and I'm the same way with her. So.
How can the viewers and the listeners find you? Because I'm also posting the videos of this radio interview on YouTube. How can they find you?
They can find me through my website, www.myfirstandlastname.com, Norman Pirollo, Norman, Pirollo.com. And I also provide educational material in the form of tutorials and courseware through another site, and it's called Wood Skills, www.woodskills.com. And in there you'll have an assortment of small tutorials and a woodworking course in video format I've actually just completed a few weeks ago.
90 seconds.
It can be purchased in either DVD or downloaded across the internet in modules. And a lot of my beliefs, philosophy, and style of work are embraced in these tutorials. So I have a tutorial specifically on creating dovetail joints, for example, and a jig I developed to be able to create this easily.
Norman, thank you so much for being with us today, and
thank
I
you.
look forward to coming to your exhibition and video recording you there. Thank you so
very
much. Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Hi, Norman.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, it's such a pleasure to see you again, especially that you're showing new work, a continuation of the macro photography
Yes.
of wood.
Yes.
Would you like to show? Do you have the old photo here too? I mean, not the old, the one from Remington Museum.
No.
Would you like to take us through the show? Where does it start?
Well, this is earlier work. I've only been doing this for literally less than a year. What it is a macro photography at the cellular level of different materials. In my case, 90% of it is wood. So I use different woods and experiment with exotic woods. And I have a special setup so I can actually slice portions of wood and view them through a setup I have at the cellular level. And the colors are all authentic, not enhanced. And I look for composition. I look for interesting composition, and I give them titles afterwards. And this is what I've come up with so far. This is my new series. This is part of my new series. So, and this is almost one of my first opportunities to exhibit it. So I'm doing this to gain some feedback on this medium, this new medium.
Do you know other artists who do similar work?
No.
You're the only one.
Yes.
I
Well,
haven't
so
seen
far.
anything like this so far.
I try to look for unique forms of art. I've actually made that part of my artist statement, my slogan. I try to explore new forms of art. What I like about this is that people that have seen it so far, which are not many people, they're just curious because they have no idea what it is. So I like to explain to them what it is.
It's beautiful, Norman.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing during the season, the holiday season?
I'm actually doing something completely different. I'm working on some new designs for contemporary furniture for a show in Toronto I have in late January for a week-long show, interior design show. So I have to pull myself away from the art for a few weeks and focus on that.
Thank you so much. Norman Pirollo, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. This is your annual.
This is the annual Dimensions sculpture exhibition that the group I belong to holds. It's a national capital network of sculptors. We have this typically in September in this venue, the St. Bridget's Center for the Arts.
And you have 3 pieces.
I'm exhibiting 3 pieces in my little station here.
It seems that everyone has kind of 3 pieces. You just said it.
2 or 3 at the very least.
I don't believe we've ever had this on camera. These 2.
This is my work is this is a series of I call it flame series, and the pieces are progressively getting larger. So I began with this piece, which was the first piece in the series. It's called Inferno, and then this was maybe early last year or some midpoint last year, and then I moved on to this piece here. This is almost 2 feet high. It's in the same. The dimensions are a little different, so I thought I would do a little more, make it a little more organic. And the wood I use is very highly figured maple, which I tend to use in most of the woods, in the sculptures.
And the other one over there is
The same.
same. What about this?
The way they're put together is a little different. This is a solid piece of maple, whereas that is an assemblage of veneers, and it's almost built like a musical instrument. This one, it's hollow inside, so it's fairly light. And this one's solid, so it's a little heavier.
Yes.
And this is the greatest and latest piece. This is over 3 feet high, and it's again highly figured woods. But this is put together completely differently. It's composed of veneers over a core, which has a hollow interior to lighten it up a little. So it's all veneers. It's not one solid piece of wood. So I selected the veneers. I oriented them, and I used that same flame organic shape to put it together.
Are you still working on flame sculptures?
I think I'm going to continue with this because it appears to be popular.
Yes.
So many people sort of like this. So I haven't exhausted the possibilities yet with the flame series. So I have maybe larger pieces or
That's true.
I'm not sure, maybe open it up and have two flames. So I'm not
And
sure.
where do you go from here with them?
Well, I'll probably begin a new series after I've exhausted this series. And, I'll have to think of something. I think I have something in mind, but I haven't begun working on it yet. I'm still, fall is my busy season. I'm doing this exhibition, and then I'm at the Home and Design Show. The group we have a booth, a large booth, so we're all participating. I mean, a few of us are, I think 12 of us are participating, and we each have a piece or two at the Home and Design Show at the end of September at the Princeton Young Center in Ottawa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Norman Pirollo with his art piece at what gallery? 101.
Gallery 112, City of Ottawa, Gallery 112. It's a sculpture exhibition by the NCNS group, National Network of Sculptors. And we have 3 or 4 shows like this every throughout the year. And this is a new gallery. We have 26 artists in this, sculptors in this particular show, and every sculptor has one piece. And this would be my piece. The piece is, I call it Interrupted, and it's just a play on words. This has been my style recently. It's just shaped wood, but the interrupted part is I found a flaw in the wood, for example, and this I embraced the flaw as part of the sculpture. Normally, people would just discard a piece of wood like this and not continue with it because it is flawed, but I embraced that particular flaw and made it a part of the sculpture and call it Interrupted. So.
This piece is different from the others, especially because of this, you call it a flaw, but it actually gives it more
Character.
Yes.
I found that too. I really enjoyed it. I find that it adds to the piece, and most people are drawn to that particular element of the piece. So,
And I think that a lot of people would identify
yes,
with this. How many of us can say we are perfect?
exactly. Well, the trend now is to embrace woods with live edges and more natural-looking wood than in the past. For example, when something like this would be discarded, or the live edge of a board would be removed. So the trend today is to make wood more appealing in that way, make it more natural-looking. So I'm following in that trend with this piece.
So this piece is part of the series of curved.
Yes, with my trademark curve.
How many pieces like this you have with this kind of curve?
I would say I'm working on my 4th one now, or 5th one. Sorry, 5th one. Yes.
Just for the viewers, your solo exhibition will be in March.
March 22nd through April 22nd at the Atrium Gallery in the Centerpoint Complex. But it won't be sculptural work. Unfortunately, it'll be mostly my wall art, so my hanging art, which was what I was juried in for. So that's the difference. There won't be any sculptural work there at all. I might be able to put one piece in a glass case, but the focus of the show is strictly wall art.
That's great because we don't have a video of that.
No.
So I would be happy to come and video record you at that.
I'm looking forward to it, and we'll definitely have you out there. This is a big leaf maple, and it's a rosewood base, and this has quite a considerable amount of curl in it. So I make sure to enhance the curl with color.
I thought it was leaking there.
And,
I'm sorry.
So the curl is in throughout the wood. along with the flaw. So actually, there's another flaw here. I just noticed.
This is an amazing piece.
Well, it's
Because of
it's
the
very contemporary, I would say.
what you call flaw. I love the name interrupted that you use, and I think that many of us can identify with this these days. Thank you very much, Norman, and I look forward to seeing you again in March.
Great. Well, thank you for coming.